welcome to Psychology by Sandy. My name is Amber. Sandy is out today and I'll be substituting, but she left a few notes on what to talk about. We'll be playing a game and it's very important that you play along. I will say a word and I need you to press pause after each word and in the comment box, type what first comes to your mind. But be sure not to comment until I've said all 3 words. And if you'd like to comment about the video, just press refresh for the comment box and there you can place your comment. The first word is soup. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when I say soup? The second word is beer. What's the first word that comes to your mind when I say beer? And the third word is Paris Hilton. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when I say Paris Hilton? Pause the video and put your responses in the comment box and then we'll continue. Today we're going to be talking about mental associations. Your mind will take certain thoughts and certain ideas and certain emotions and put these together, and in psychology we call those associations. We'll be talking about how advertising uses these associations and also about brainwashing. Advertisers want you to feel a certain way about their product. They want you to create an emotional association with their product. For example, McDonald's, I'm loving it. They also want you to create an association with their product with something you already feel good about. For example, how many pictures have you seen with hot girls holding a beer? Guys already feel good about those hot girls, so they're obviously going to feel good about their beer. In psychology, this is something we call conditioning. Conditioning is the process in which you create an automatic stimulus response in a person or an animal. I'm going to display a few advertisements, and I want you to see if you can tell which emotion each advertiser is trying to make you feel about their product. Here's how this works. Conditioning. You want to take your girl in the bikini, which you already have the emotional association. Basically, you already have a certain way that you feel about this girl in the bikini. Take your beer and the girl. What you want to do, or the advertisers want to do, is transfer this emotion over to their beer. So, advertisers want you to think about beer, girl, and sex as all the same thing. Essentially, each one is different. But if you think about sex, you think about the beer. You think about the girl in the bikini, and you're going to think about their beer. So, it's obvious sex is exploited every day in advertising. I'm going to display a few advertisements, and I want you to see the sexual emotional association that they're trying to transfer to their products. The branch of psychology used to change someone's behavior is behaviorism. The techniques are called behavioral modification techniques. Conditioning is a behavioral modification technique that advertisers use to get you to buy their product. How did all of this start? It started with a Russian psychologist named Pavlov. I'm sure you've heard of Pavlov's dogs. He would ring a bell and then feed the dogs, and eventually the dogs associated the bell with feeding. Before the dogs were even fed, when they heard the bell, they would begin to salivate. Pavlov took these dogs, he put a hole in their cheeks and attached a device to catch the saliva and measure them for the experiments. What's messed up about this is after his famous dog experiments, they took human children and did the same thing, put a hole in their cheeks, attached a device to catch the saliva, and measure them for their experiments. They wanted to know if they could condition a human just the same as they did a dog. Now, arguably, the most influential American psychologist was John Watson. He expanded on Pavlov's techniques to condition humans. John Watson had an experiment called Baby Albert. He took the baby and showed him a white rat. When the rat would appear, he would then begin to make loud noises behind the baby to scare him. Eventually, the baby associated the white rat with a scary experience. Not only was baby Albert afraid of the rat, but he was afraid of anything that was furry. In psychology, we call that generalization. Now here's something you probably don't know. John Watson eventually left his psychology studies and began working in advertising. His studies and theories is what has developed advertising into what it is today. So you've probably heard the word hysteria or hysterical, but you may not know where it comes from. It comes from the Greek word hystera, which means womb or uterus. This is where we also get the word hysterectomy, where a doctor performs the operation to remove a woman's uterus. So, what does hysteria have to do with the womb? Well, going back to as far as 2000 BC, people believed that if a woman was hysterical, it was due to a problem with her womb. And that may sound ridiculous, but psychiatrists believed that all the way up until the early 1900s. So hysteria was only something supposedly a woman could have. Now here's the freaky thing. In the 17 and 1800s, if a woman had hysteria, psychiatrists would place a belt around her with a device to move her womb. The psychiatrists believed if they moved the womb, then it would cure the woman of the hysteria. The behavioral techniques used by psychologists are much like training a dog, to reward what they consider good behavior and punish what they consider bad behavior. These techniques aren't designed to give you control of yourself. They're designed to work on a stimulus-response basis. So we talked about the techniques to make you feel positive about something. Well, there's also behavioral techniques to make you feel bad about it. This is called aversion therapy. So you've probably seen the movie Clockwork Orange. Well, if you haven't, you should see it. But in this movie, they take a guy, they strap him down, force his eyelids open, give him drugs to make him sick, and make him watch pornography and violence. And you probably think this is science fiction, but it's really an example of aversion therapy. So there's really 3 techniques to aversion therapy. The first, like in Clockwork Orange, where they give you drugs to make you feel sick or nauseous while you watch something they want you to feel bad about. The second is electric shock. They administer electric shock while you watch something they want you to feel bad about. And the third, they'll cause you to inhale or smell something very disgusting, like rotten placenta, while you watch something they want you to feel bad about. Aversion therapy was invented in the 1930s for homosexuals to cure their homosexuality. Now aversion therapy is mostly used on sexual offenders. So that's it for Psychology by Sandy this week. We'll be doing a video for sexual disorders very soon. Please leave comments. We love comments.